As part of our 20th anniversary celebrations in 2024, Pharos Architectural Controls is spotlighting 20 people and projects that have helped to shape our company and our products and continue to inspire us every day. Ryan Sainsbury, Regional Manager for UK and Northern Europe for Pharos, and myself are very happy to be joined today by Nick Tolkien from Architainment to talk about his experiences with Pharos products and some of the projects that have brought the tech to life. Thanks so much for joining us, Nick. It's
Hi.
lovely to have you here. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ryan too. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Hi. So we're gonna kind of spiel and ask you a few questions, Nick, and I'll hand over to Ryan to get the party started.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. So Nick, I really am interested, as we're obviously celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, and I know that you've been with Pharos from the start, and actually before that, prior to that as well. So I'm really interested in knowing about how you kind of came into contact with Pharos, and what it was that kind of led you to kind of get to know us, and kind of what your early relationships were like with us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, our relationship with Pharos goes back pre-Pharos, pre-Architainment. I started Architainment about the same time as Pharos started, actually in 2003. So we're kind of about the same age. But going back prior to that, I had a lot of dealings with Flying Pig Systems, which is an entertainment moving light control system developed by Nick Archdale and two partners. And then Nick Archdale obviously then moved on to forming Pharos. So I had a lot of experience and knowledge over the years of the capabilities that Nick had and his team had in terms of controlling multiple moving light fixtures. So as he moved into controlling architectural fixtures, it seemed logical to try and follow him, and also a great belief that what he was going to do was going to be very successful and do what it needed to.
Yeah, I mean, he's always, Nick's always been such a kind of innovator within the industry. He's always really kind of had his finger on the pulse, and is kind of seminal, and obviously where we're at today. That's a kind of really interesting. So, I mean, going back to kind of the start of it all. Certainly, what I have noticed over the years is there has been this kind of shift from kind of the really kind of traditional kind of building lighting to using more DMX based systems to kind of do more kind of transitional and color changing kind of stuff. And I know that kind of that's something that obviously Architainment have been really embedded in, and I know that obviously you've been kind of seminal in kind of that transition from kind of doing more of kind of the color changing stuff. So what's kind of your take on that? What have you kind of noticed over the years, and kind of what's your experience been in that sector?
Well, we started working with Color Kinetics at the end of 2002, and I formed Architainment in 2003, and they were one of the innovators of red, green, and blue LEDs into one fixture. And it was great for us. Whenever we went to see a lighting designer, an architectural lighting designer, we could put on the table this one fixture that, when you control it, changes color. And it was a real eye opener. We go to see one designer in one practice, and 5 minutes later there'd be 20 designers all around the table, all wanting to get hold of it, all wanting to point at the wall, all imagining what they could do with it. And I think it's a big shift, because before, people would have a building, they'd put white floodlights around it, cold white, warm white. If they wanted it blue, they'd put a blue filter on there. But now they had a product that it could be blue, it could be red, it could be green, it could be anything in between. And it was a real eye opener for them, and got them really being more creative, looking at what else they could do with it. Of course, the more creative they got, the more they needed to control this fixture, rather than just using 3 colors or mixing. They wanted to sequence them, chase them, do all sorts of different things, which then required more controls. So the two definitely went hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting thing, right? So we've seen this, this fusion between architecture and entertainment, which Architainment, I suppose, is a good way of describing it, and also just a word now that's synonymous with kind of the industry that we both work in. And there's lots of examples about that. So you can look pretty much anywhere in London now, and you're seeing buildings that and other landmarks and bits of architecture that are being lit up in kind of more not only sophisticated but more kind of like entertaining ways. They're doing more and more with their lighting, and obviously that's something that you guys have been seminal in. So I'm kind of interested to know kind of your experiences there about the fusion between architecture and entertainment, and kind of how that's kind of come about.
Well, my background was always entertainment. So I was in entertainment lighting for nearly 20 years before I formed Architainment. And interestingly, a lot of the architectural lighting designers, they have theatrical or entertainment backgrounds as well. I mean, even like people like DHA, which was founded by David Hersey, legendary lighting designer. So there's people in there who were working away lighting buildings with boring white lights, but really had much more creative minds. And I think the ability to change color and add a sort of theatrical element when it's available to these designers to specify was a real big move for them. And I think got a lot of interest, got a lot of excitement. Now we can put color on there. Bit of backlash maybe from the clients, people being a bit reserved. I don't want color on there. Okay, but we'll give you the ability to have it white most of the time, but it's there when you want it to be colored. And we've done that quite a lot, where we've had companies or specifiers who wants to be a bit, I want this white, I just want this in warm white, but then in red nose day I want it red, or I want it purple for this event, or I want it pink for that event, or as a royal baby due, I need to press a button for red or for pink depending on which way it's going to go. So the color aspect and the controlling of the color aspect, I think has changed the landscape over the last 12, 15, 18 years, I think, quite dramatically.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm interested just to hear on your personal kind of viewpoint. Have you got a favourite kind of landmark or building that perhaps has utilised those, those colour changing technologies to best effect?
We don't have favourites. It's like having a favourite child, isn't it? But I think London Eye probably is one that we were very, very excited about doing. It wasn't a massive project value-wise, but it's in terms of a landmark, in terms of a statement, it's fantastic. Having that changing color and controllable, it's all run on Pharos controls. They can do the big New Year's celebrations and put other lighting in there, and then link it to the Pharos controls. We can link the Pharos controls to the buildings around it. So there's all these things that you couldn't do 20 years ago. I think that was done in 2008, so it's getting quite an old project now, 16 years ago. But that's, I think, is probably one of our statement ones.
Yeah, and like it is just such a statement piece as well, because obviously, it's such a big landmark. Everyone, thinks when they think of London, I think that's one of the big landmarks that they see. It's really, really iconic. And as you said, a lot's done with it. I know that obviously we talked about the New Year's Eve celebrations, but of course there are lots of different events around the year where they need to obviously use the control system to change colours. As you said, maybe if there's like a royal birth, or if it's blue for the NHS, or whatever event is going on, they have that capability there. So yeah, that's kind of a really good example of where you've kind of fused architecture and entertainment together. So one thing I do want to talk about, and this is something I think we've talked about previously, was one of your first projects that you actually did with Pharos. I believe it was in Leeds, and I know that we had to work kind of quite closely with yourselves to get quite a lot of things done with it. And yeah, I'm just kind of interested to kind of get your experiences on that. I think the project I'm talking about.
Yes, the Glass Houghton mining wheel in Castleford. I think it was it was the first project we did with Pharos. Quite an early project for us. It was a 6 meter diameter former mining wheel, which they wanted to turn into a monument to celebrate the demise or the killing off of the local mining industry. So they wanted to light it up. They don't light up in a way that the lighting chased around the outside of the wheel and the spokes of the wheel to make it look like as though the wheel was rotating. So we specified a lot of Color Kinetics flex strings on there, and then some third-party MR16s just to light down the spokes. And we were initially going to put a Color Kinetics control system on there, but we were a bit concerned that that would only control the Color Kinetics and we wouldn't integrate well with the third-party DMX fixture. So that's where we started talking to Nick, and I talked to Nick a little bit in the previous months as he started forming Pharos and what he was going to do and what he was going to achieve. And he said, yeah, of course we can do that. We can control the Pharos. The Pharos can control the Color Kinetics and the third-party fixtures, get it all running together, it'll be fantastic. So we brought Nick in and Pharos into the project, got him together with the designer. The designer was actually a pretty technical person as well. So Nick and Christopher Rao got on extremely well. All went well. Installation was done. Pharos controls, Architainment doing the fixtures, and it was all fantastic. But this monument really was to celebrate the fact that in the 1970s, 1980s, we'd killed off the mining industry in this area. So there was inevitable backlash from an area, some of the local population, because they were all jobless and they'd been worked in the mining industry for decades, and now this was to celebrate the fact it wasn't there anymore. So it got vandalized quite a lot. And Christopher came to us and came to Nick quite early on with concerns about this. And he said, I wish there was some way that I could be notified when the system's broken or it's being vandalized or stuff going on. Can it text me or can it do something? And Nick scratched his head, I think, and went away and said, yeah, we can do that. Let me come back tomorrow. I think going back the next day with a solution that satisfied the client so that the Pharos control system could then report back. And it's these little things that really cemented our thoughts on Pharos. Is this is the way to go forwards, because it's controls needs to develop continuously along with the client's requirements, with the advancements in fixtures. And Nick and Pharos were just, yeah, we can do that. We'll sort it out. We'll make it happen. That's a really great idea. What we do is the next generation of this controller will include that, and that's how it's gone, and that's how it's always moved forwards.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a really important part to kind of touch upon. We obviously look to companies like yours that are pro users to help us kind of develop the next stage of our products. We're always kind of listening to people like yourselves so that we can then develop more features into our control systems to make them even more versatile, to give them kind of more capabilities. But obviously we rely really on kind of listening to what the market wants and what the needs are, so that we can then obviously develop our products in the right way. So yeah, it's so useful for us to kind of get that feedback and kind of to get that information, those requests from yourself, so that we can develop it in the system. And obviously Architainment has been helping us expand our brand and our market share over the last 20 years. So we're really obviously thankful for companies like yourselves that have helped get the name of Pharos out there. So yeah, it's been a brilliant 20 years.
That's great. We've got a good technical team who can talk to your technical people with our requirements. We've also got a very strong, close client base of lighting designers, some of whom are very, very technical, who can then come to us and say, I want to do this, I want to achieve that. How are we going to control it in this way? Other ones are perhaps much more creative, less technical. This is what it needs to do. I wanted to do that. So between those people and between our tech team and between your technical people, we're able to find a solution, some of it existing, some of it requiring a few changes to satisfy their needs and ultimately satisfy the needs of the architect or the client, the building owner. We haven't had too many problems.
That's good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting deep dive, not only into you know, just how the sands of the industry have shifted, you know, in a positive way that's able to give so many more options for, you know, for clients, but also in that collaborative, you know, relationship that you continue to have with us and we continue to have with you. So, you know, we're absolutely thrilled that you've been able to be a part of our 20th anniversary celebrations. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your hard work, and yeah, we're really thrilled to have you. So thanks so much for doing this for us.
No, thank you. It's nice to look back at the ones that kicked it off. And there's not much we do now. Every project we do now runs on a Pharos controller, especially all the dynamic ones. They run on multiple ones. We have our own Architainment control solution enclosures, and they're nearly always jam-packed full of Pharos controllers.
Amazing.
That's what we like to hear.
Yep.
All right, Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.